welcome everyone. We are very excited for today's event. So I'm Kavya, I'm the founder of Young Not Broke. So this is our Young Not Broke live event on dropping your money fears. So when I started Young Not Broke, it honestly started because I realized that a lot of my friends and we didn't really engage with our money out of the fear of, messing up or just kind of fear of doing the wrong thing. So I personally know how much fear can really affect a lot of your decisions around money and how it can really just stop you from taking action. And so it's why today's topic is just so important. I think it's a foundational topic to starting your personal finance journey and just engaging with your money in any way. So again, I think just to say that this is a very important topic for us to do today. So I'll be sharing kind of more about Young Not Broke and what we do at the end. And so I just really want to jump right in. So I'll just kind of tell you guys a little bit about what's on the agenda, and then I'm going to introduce Liz and Shelby, and then we're going to get started. So today's event is going to be a little bit different if you've come to our previous events. We take your guys' feedback really seriously, and we've heard from a lot of you that you wanted a little bit more of a structure with the events. So today we're going to have kind of a mini presentation with Liz, and then we'll kind of do a Q&A after that. And then we're going to wrap up with Shelby doing a guided meditation at the end. And then we'll kind of do like a closing thing with just telling you more about kind of how you can reach them and how you can reach Young Not Broke. So if you do have any questions during the presentation part of it, just feel free to put it in the chat and we'll kind of get to them right after she's done with the presentation. So let's get started. So today we have Liz Carroll. She's a financial coach, life coach, and yoga teacher from Mindful Money Coaches. So I'm going to pass it on to Liz now. I would love for you to share a little bit more about who you are. And then whenever you're ready, I'll start sharing my screen for the presentation.
Well, thank you so much for having me. You have no idea how excited I am to be here with all of you because one, I'm old enough to be all your mothers, right? So in fact, as a special gift, I brought my daughter-in-law with me today. So Shelby is going to be doing the guided meditation while I'm also a yoga and meditation teacher, as Kavya said. Shelby has a real gift when it comes to energy work. So you're in for a treat that I was able to bring her. And well, let's start back a little bit. I just said I'm old enough to be your mother, but I retired last year from my 25-year plus corporate career. And my husband and I have been married for 30 years. We live on the Oregon coast. We started Mindful Money Coaches about 4 years ago, right when my husband retired from his corporate career. And then we are also debt-free real estate investors. So we own a few $1 million of debt-free real estate property, that rental income. So that's what pays the bills. And then I get to do fun things like this. I feel like I have manifested the exact life I want to have right now because I get to educate other people on financial literacy. So that's Mindful Money Coaches is what we do, we do a lot of financial literacy education. I particularly work with women one-on-one and through a paid Facebook group, but it's a small price to pay to come into this paid group that I teach in every Monday. And anyway, it's called Office Hours with Liz. So that is what I am about. And I'm here to talk with you today about dropping your money fears. So, and we're going to talk about, you can go ahead, Kavya, if you want to share. The money fear, you might be going, what? I don't want to talk about fear. How does that have to do with money? But it really does. And we're going to talk about really what are the fears? How do you identify them? How you use them, how you shift them. I'm going to give you some great tools. And this is going to be literally game-changing for you in so many other ways. So not only can you apply this to money, but you can apply it to relationships, you can apply it to your health. There's so many ways that you can apply this information that I'm going to give you. But I particularly coach on money, earning it, spending it, and saving it. So we're going to cover all three of those. So, and then we're going to teach you about how to drop them. So Kavya, there you go. So you can go on to the next slide there. So let's start with what is fear, right? it comes down to it that fear is just a feeling. Fear is a feeling. And a feeling is a vibration in your body. Now, as yoga and meditation teachers, we talk about vibrations often, but it's not often common talk around. You know, we do use that abbreviation sometime, like, oh, she's got a good vibe. That's speaking about someone's vibration, right? I get a good vibe from that person. It's talking about vibration. But we're really talking about a feeling is literally just a vibration in your body. Now, a vibration is different than a physical sensation. And a physical sensation is something like pain, like you broke your arm, or hot or cold, where I like to think of it as a feeling starts in the brain and then flows down to your body, where a physical sensation, and we can use the example of like a sunburn, because most people have had a sunburn at some point, and that is on the skin. The skin sends the message to the body and then comes up to the brain. So physical sensation, very different than a feeling, emotion. Right? And you're kind of like, what? What do you mean a feeling is starting in my brain? I think it's someone else that's making me feel a certain way, or it's a particular circumstance that's making me feel a different way. And that's not the case. And I'm going to introduce you to something that is called the model. Completely blew my mind and changed my life. And I wish I would have got it in my 20s rather than learning about it more in my 40s. So everything that we do or don't do in our lives, and I'm dropping a little, nugget on you here right now. So everything we do or don't do in our lives is because how we think it will feel, how we think it will make us feel, including how we handle our money. So you can go ahead and move up to the next slide there, Kavya. And you're like, what? My thoughts about my money are creating my fear. And I'm going to go over this with you that, the model is this there's 5 elements to the model. 5. And I got this from my coach, and who trained me to be a life coach is Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School. And you can listen to the Life Coach School podcast for more of this kind of information. But a circumstance is totally neutral, and it's things we don't control. The second element of the model is your thoughts. And the circumstance can trigger the thought, and a thought is just a sentence in your mind. Now, that sentence in your mind causes your feelings. So again, that sentence in your mind in the brain flows down to the body, and then that feeling or emotion is that vibration in your body. That drives, that feeling that you have in your body drives your actions. So the actions, which is our behavior or inaction, that's another one. So our actions, behavior, inactions drive or create our results. And our results are the effects of our action, but also they create absolute evidence for the thought. It's like a circle around the thought creates the result. But the thought is what causes the feeling, and the feeling is what drives the action. Action creates the result. Now, fear is a feeling, so it's on the feeling line. And there are times when we really want to feel fear. If we are walking down a dark alley or across campus at night, or we encounter a rattlesnake on the hiking trail, our thought immediately is, I'm not safe. And that creates the feeling of fear or being afraid. And I want that. I want to feel afraid. I want to know that that's the time that I want to feel fear. I want to know that I feel fear in my body and I'm not safe. But more likely, when it comes to your money, the thought is more something like, I'm not enough. I don't have enough. I'm not doing enough. Or I don't measure up. Or I don't know how I'm going to pay all these loans back. That can create money fears. And I want to show you how you can drop those money fears. Use them and then drop them. So right now, I would love it if you could type in the chat, what is the thought? And I just gave you some examples there, but what is the thought for you that is creating a money fear? Or maybe one you've heard somewhere else. You could inherit a thought from maybe a parent, maybe a coach, maybe a youth group leader, but have thought that you either experienced today or have experienced or heard. You could type that in the chat right now. Now I want to also review an example through this. So if we take, for example, a circumstance totally out of our control, things that we have no control over, like a rattlesnake on the hiking trail. If we put the US economy in the circumstance line right now, and this is a tool I use all the time for all kinds of problems and solving, but the US economy, if it's in the circumstance line, your thought could be, I won't be able to get ahead financially right now. Does that resonate with anyone? Right now, I won't be able to get ahead financially. That's an interesting caveat on the chat there, is that I don't know that I don't want to lose it, right? And that could be something that's coming up for many people right now after we saw a dip in the stock market. And you know what? I'm 52 years old. I have experienced 5 dips in the stock market. So I know it's going to come back up, but you might not feel that way. So I have more confidence in the US economy, but you might be thinking, I won't be able to get ahead financially right now. And that's got you experiencing some money fears. And I haven't kept up on all the other comments that have come in through the chat, but what happens with fear, particularly money fears, is it drives the action of withdrawal or procrastination or inaction. You're holding yourself back because you don't know what you're doing. You're on the right track then. That is so great because you are already knowing, you're noticing, you're paying attention to your thoughts. And we're going to get you unstuck here. You're going to know what you're doing, or you're going to be willing to make a few mistakes. So what happens though, if we go back to our US economy example on the circumstance line, totally neutral, can't control the economy. Our thought is, I won't be able to get ahead financially, creates the money fear, and then we withdraw, procrastination, inaction, because you're concerned you won't be able to keep it growing, or you don't know what to do, right? So you're kind of stuck, procrastinate. What's the result that you create then by that action is that you don't get ahead in our example. And it proves the evidence of the thought. I won't be able to get ahead financially. So we're going to run through the model on a couple different examples here too. And here's the thing. When we think scary thoughts about the economy, or maybe the job market's totally neutral also, because we could put the United States job market in the circumstance line, and some people could say it's smoking hot right now because I work for Zoom, right? And other people could be saying, well, not so much because I was driving Uber. So it's different perspectives on the exact same circumstance, which is job market. Or you could put your savings rate, you could put your net worth, you could put so many things in the circumstance line, and then watch your thought. So here's the thing. When we think a scary thought about the economy that creates the fear, we send our brain on a scavenger hunt. Anybody remember going on a scavenger hunt, maybe with youth group, something like that? I mean, they're kind of fun, right? But we send our brain on a scavenger hunt to find evidence to make the thought true. Anybody ever done that before? You all of a sudden, it's kind of like the Volvo effect. You think, oh, I bought maybe you haven't heard of this example, but you get a Volvo and then all of a sudden you see all the Volvos on the road. So this is exactly what happens to the brain. And learning how to relax into fear is a skill worth practicing. So don't seek refuge outside of yourself. This is some advice here. Don't buffer your fear with false pleasures. You can handle a fear. Just stay with it. Be present. Fear is protective when needed, like walking across campus in the dark or a rattlesnake on the hiking trail. That's a good use of fear. And it's harmless when it's not, because fear is a feeling, and a feeling is just a vibration in the body. So often we try to, that emotion is harmless, but it's harmless when you allow it. But if you try to resist that emotion, it can cause all sorts of problems when you fight them. Drama, denial, distractions, all of those things can come up when you're trying to fight your fear rather than just allowing the fear. And Shelby's going to help you work through a little bit more of the allowing exercise. But if you, right now, if you go back to that chat thought that you put in the box about when you think your scary, fear-inducing thought, notice what happened to your body. Did you like bring your shoulders up, hunch down, arch your back a little, legs get a little tense? What does fear do for you? And know that whatever you're feeling in your body right now, once you thought that scary, fearful thought, was 100% in your control. 100% in your control. Now, just to prove the point, do the exact opposite. I'm going to give you a feeling to think. Because the truth is, we never have to wait to have something in order to feel better. So we don't have to have the perfect job. We don't have to have the net worth we're looking for. We don't have to have the economy change and the GDP increase and all those things. We don't have to have that. We can choose to feel right, to feel better right now. It's our choice. So let's do this example. I'm going to give you the opposite thought of that scary one that you just had, and you'll repeat it in your own head. So I want you to think, I'm a badass, and I'm ready to figure out what gets thrown at me. I'm a badass, and I'm ready to figure out whatever gets thrown at me. What happened in your body? Did you stand up a little taller? Sit a little straighter? Did you arch your, bring out your chest a little? You notice the difference. The thought creates the feeling creates the action in the body. And you are in control of your fear by how you think. And there's this great quote in the book called Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado. And I love reading his stuff, but he has a quote that says, anxiety is unavoidable. And I like to use this. He uses the word anxiety because his book is called Anxious for Nothing, but I think it applies to fear also. So his quote is, anxiety is unavoidable, but the prison of anxiety is optional. So it's something like fear is unavoidable. And you kind of want to have fear, right? But the prison, being stuck in fear, is totally optional. So, because you are in control. And since I teach about earning and spending and saving money, I'm going to give you some examples about that, and we're going to run them through the model. So, earning. So I can be 100% sure when I speak of this, because I know it doesn't matter whether you make $50,000 a year or $500,000 a year. If you think, I don't have or earn enough, you're going to create the feeling of fear, maybe even a little scarcity. It's proven out every single time. So then, in contrast though, if you thought, instead of I don't have or earn enough, instead you gave yourself opposite airtime for another thought of an example, I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready for next level earning, or my income is constantly increasing. You're going to create the feeling of confidence, hope, maybe even abundance with that. And I like to think of it as going into a clothing dressing room, and you get to try on all different kinds of thoughts, and you will decide which one do you feel the most radiant in, which one drives you to action, right? Which one is the best for you? And then you choose that thought intentionally, and you keep thinking it over and over and over until it becomes a belief. So try them on. Try on different thoughts, and know that negative emotions or negative thoughts are where the growth happens. So when you're feeling anxious or you're feeling fearful, it's not always a bad thing, because that's going to be able, you're going to be able to use that thought and shift it to your next level. It's just like you want to feel a little nervous when you go in for a job interview, right? Because that means you want it. You don't want to not go into a job interview and feel like, I got this in the bag. Because, I mean, you want to have swagger and some confidence, but you also want to be have a little bit of nerves in the tummy, because that means you really want it and you're going to perform your best. Okay, and then let's go on to spending, because this is a fun part. We don't want to spend money, right? So, but if you're thinking, I don't know where my money goes, or I can't pay all of my bills, that is going to create fear every single time. And again, it's optional. So you can make a shift. This is a strategy also. You can make a shift by asking yourself, how can I pay my bills? How can I know where my money goes? How? How activates the brain and sends it on that scavenger hunt. So then you're thinking, how can I pay all my bills? What could I do? And you can start feeling more confident, or at least hopeful, right? So you could think, and this is where you could try on other thoughts too. You could try on, I plan my purchases ahead of time and I stick to my plan. And that could make you feel confident or committed, maybe even a little courageous, which is the opposite of fear. So all of that is available to you. And I'm not saying this will be easy. I want you to know that. I'm not saying this is easy. This takes some practice. But remember, you are in control of your feelings. No one else, not your parents. They're not, the only thing that they say words to you, it's what you think in between their words and how you feel. It's totally up to you. Okay, now let's apply it to savings. I love this one because these are two different. I'm going to give you two 25-year-old women. This is an example, and how they both put their thoughts into the model and how it works out for them. All right. So we have Ashley and we have Amanda. Both are 25 years old. Both take home after taxes $4,000 a month. $4,000 a month, same circumstance. That's the C line, the circumstance. Now, Ashley, her thought is, YOLO, I deserve it. All right, YOLO, I deserve it. And her feeling is a little entitled. She's going to feel a little entitled with that thought. And she's going to go out, her action, that thought, I've earned it, YOLO, and it drives that creates that feeling of entitled. And then it drives the action of, she spends all $4,000 every month. Every month she spends all $4,000. And I'm going to get back to her results here in a moment, because we're going to go over to Amanda. Well, Amanda has accessed her future self. She has a vision for the rest of her life. She's maybe thought her 10-year plan out, maybe her 5-year, but she also has thought about, what do I want long term? So her thought is, I'm saving for my future self. I'm saving for my future self. And her feeling that thought creates is committed. She feels so committed to her future self. And she keeps thinking, it's not her $4,000 a month that's making her feel committed. It's in between the thought that says, I'm saving money for my future self. She feels committed. So her action, that committed, drives her to live on less than she makes. And she invests $800 a month in an index fund that's 7% return on investment. She does that for 40 years. Now, because she stays committed through that whole time. Now, I don't give any investing advice. That's not what I do. But we all can agree that there's plenty of research out there over past the last 100 and some years of the stock market that you could average 7%. There are vehicles available. This is her example. She has a 7% return on her investment on the index fund. So we go back to the results. 40 years time goes by. Ashley has been YOLOing it. She's been to Bahamas. She's been everywhere. She's always had a leased car. She's had a great life because she spent all of her she was felt entitled and spent all of her money. At age 65, Ashley goes to retire and she's broke. And she's living on $1,906 of entitlement through Social Security. That's her result. She's trying to live on less than half the money she made each month for 40 years. Where Amanda, the other person who's sitting a cube next to her, same job, is trying to figure out how she's going to spend her $2.1 million in her retirement. So the difference between these two women is totally their thoughts of how they thought about that $4,000 a month that they were taking home. It wasn't anything else. It's just how they thought. And what determines Amanda's success is her level of commitment to her future self. And I love that idea of accessing your future self to help you figure out what you want to feel. And remember, you're completely in control of your feelings by what you're choosing to think. So now I'm going to give you some key takeaway strategies on this. And you might be going, what? All right, so let's go on to that caveat. You can go to the next one. So the first thing I want you to do is recognize the thought that's creating your fear. And you could also use this for other emotions. So what's the thought that's creating your anxiety? What's the thought that's creating your dedication to your schooling? Or what's the thought that's creating whatever emotion you want to feel? We often don't even know that there's a thought loop running in the back of our mind all day. Do you know that we think 60,000 thoughts a day? We don't even know that what those are. So the way to find out and recognize what your thought is to, one of the strategies I like to use is journaling. And journaling is if you can quiet your mind with no distractions, right? No distractions. And just write out sentences. Remember, a thought is just a sentence in your mind. So if you can write out sentences and then highlight a couple of them, and then question yourself, is it true? Is what I'm thinking true? Is that I can't get ahead financially really true? Start questioning it. Little critical thinking there. And then, what if the opposite is true? What if you think instead, I create abundance in this economy? Or like we used the example before, I'm a badass in this economy and I get an amazing job because there are jobs, there are people being hired. What if you think that and you give at least equal airtime to the other, thinking that intentional thought, the attentional thought is I'm going to make this work. I can figure this out. That intentional thought, send your brain on a scavenger hunt so you can find evidence of where that has happened in your life before. And it's there. It's just often we just suppress that. So then the next tip is to transform your fears with bridge thoughts. Now, some of you might be like, but my fear is kind of like my wubby, my little comfy. I want to keep my blanket, my fear with me because I've always thought it, and I'm not ready to give it up. I'm not ready for an intentional thought. So maybe your fear was, I can't get ahead. Or your thought that was creating the fear is, I can't get ahead. If you used a bridge thought, just the one word, I can't get ahead yet. Or if your thought is, the economy is in the tank, and then you added a little bridge to it, and that's okay. So those words, yet, and that's okay, help get you off the unstuck just ever so much so that you can get a different action. Because you're going to get off of fear just a little bit and you'll be able to get unstuck. And you won't stay frozen. Another idea here with those bridge thoughts, so those are, and that's okay, is the bridge thought, and so is yet, that you can add on to what you're already thinking if you're not ready to give it up to go to a completely new intentional thought. And remember, you do have to make sure that the thoughts that you create or your intentional thoughts need to be believable, right? You can't say, well, you can't walk around and go, I'm a multimillionaire right now, if it's not true. Now, some of you might be thinking, this kind of sounds like the law of attraction. And I want to have just a pause right here about this, the law of attraction. The thing that I think is so important about the law of attraction, and you can believe or not believe in that, but the part of that isn't focused on enough in the law of attraction is the word action that is in attraction. You can't just repeat a mantra and think something's going to happen without you being involved. You need to take action. And that's why I love this model so much, because it gets you creating the right feeling so that you can drive the right action. Okay, another way to get unstuck is to move your body. You might not think that, but you can release your fear just by moving your body. Release that tension, that stuck fear. Remember when we thought that scary thought, we kind of arched our back and raised our shoulders, kind of hunched a little. So move the body, and maybe even do some energy work or meditation work like we're going to do here. Great tools. And remember, it's not always bad. If I only could pick 12 emotions to have for the rest of my life, I would want fear to be one of them. One, fear keeps me safe. So, and fear, having those nerves before an interview or a presentation, it's really good for us. Sometimes we just need to reframe it and think of it as excitement rather than fear. So the last one is make a plan. And writing out what you want and doing the math to support it, then figuring out the thought that's going to get you to do it. So what am I going to think? Amanda was committed. That was her feeling that drove her to live below her means and save $800 a month. Now, she figured out the math. If I want to have $2.1 million at age 65 for the rest of my life, then I'm going to need to invest $800 a month at 7% interest. So she did the math, but she also chose the feeling of committed to get her there. So that creates the confidence and the determination for you to complete your plan. And this is a game changer. This is such a huge game changer because 23 years ago, my husband and I wrote down a 20-year plan. And at the time, some people could think we were kind of broke. And I was very fearful about money at the time. And we wrote out a 20-year plan, and this was 23 years ago, so it's been a while. We wrote out a 20-year plan, and we completed that 20-year plan, said we want to college educate both of our children. We want to be able to retire in our early 50s, as soon as our youngest graduated from college. And we wanted to have enough passive income to let us live the rest of our life. Not basic FIRE. Some of you might have heard of FIRE, financial independence, retire early. We didn't want just that because that's like level 1. That's just you're paying your bills. We wanted to be able to have fun in our retirement too. So we knew that we needed to save a little bit more than some of the basic FIRE rules. Of course, FIRE wasn't even around back then, 23 years ago. This is kind of a new term. And I'm friends with a lot of the people in the FIRE movement. So I feel like we were trailblazers, but we just we didn't adopt the hashtag early enough. Otherwise we would have been able to have that. We would have been the founders. But a lot of people consider my husband and I the mom and dad of the debt-free community. But I will tell you this, because we choose, and our part of our plan that we wrote 23 years ago was that we would commit to living debt-free. Having that plan, writing it out, I was 30 years old, just about, maybe 29 at that time. Totally changed our life because you know what? We completed that plan early because we were determined and we had an end game in mind. And I know that this information that I'm giving you today is going to absolutely change your life. And I'm so excited to give it to you. And I want you to know that fear doesn't mean stop. Because I had fear. Fear didn't mean stop. Fear means, and fear doesn't mean you're going the wrong direction either. I want you to know that. Fear doesn't mean you're going the wrong direction. Negative emotions don't mean that you're going the wrong direction. Often they can mean you're going the right direction because you're stretching yourself. So it means you're human. Newsflash, you're human. You're going to have negative emotions. You're going to experience fear. But you can drop the fear by choosing an intentional thought. Use it, right? Use the fear. One, you want to keep fear safe, right? But if you can drop the fear by choosing an intentional thought, and it means that you are prepared to create a plan and live to that plan. And fear is a natural part of the human experience. So embrace it. Let it be part of your experience, but don't let it hold you back. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't stay stuck in fear. Because you can be willing to feel a vibration in your body. And that is all fear is a vibration in your body. Oh, you're on mute, Kavia.
I'm muted. I was just saying, thank you so much, Liz. That was wonderful. Now we're going to just kind of open it up to any questions that anybody might have.
Oh, goodness, I went long. Sorry.
That's okay. Feel free to put them in the chat, or you can also unmute your mic and just ask us.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We've got one hand up, but I don't know if that's the... Well, since I went long, I probably covered a lot of those questions.
All the questions.
We can go straight to the meditation because I think we're all excited for that treat also. And I'm always happy to answer questions on Instagram. DM me at mindfulmoneycoaches.com.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Liz. So now we have Shelby. Shelby, I'd love for you to just kind of introduce yourself and then we can just transition into the guided meditation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kavya. So my name is Shelby, and I'm in Portland, Oregon. And I graduated from college. I'm trying to think of how long ago that was. Well, I'm 26 now. So I feel like this is a topic that also just hits close to home with me as well, because I'm figuring out a lot of these things too in my 20s. And prior to the work that I do now, I was in the PR and advertising industry. I still do some of that marketing work as well. But I really love my yoga, meditation, and Reiki work that I do. So what I do with a lot of my clients is I do kind of a mixture of this work. So it's a little bit of like the energy work with Reiki, but then a lot of meditation. So just really bringing awareness to our body, to our mind, to our thoughts, and then also being willing to sit with that and be comfortable with it, and also not trying to get rid of any of our thoughts or anything like that, and knowing that's a normal part of being human. And then when we're in this state, it makes it a little bit easier for us to come at it from a more objective perspective. And it makes it a little bit like we have a zoomed out view, as opposed to like looking at the problem or looking at the thing that we're trying to figure out really closely. It helps us bring back the lens a little bit and see options. So what I want to do with this meditation is it's going to be a bit of like kind of guided imagery, visualization, but mostly just a guided meditation. And so I'll be guiding you through it the whole time. And I'll be talking with you. I won't leave you, so you're just alone with your thoughts, but that's totally safe too. And what I'll do here is, if the video doesn't, you can turn your video off if you'd like. I don't need to see your face or anything like that. So you can feel free to do that if that makes you more comfortable. And what we'll do to start out is just find a comfortable seat. If you're where you're at right now, you can kind of shift around a little bit. And you can even lay down if you want. If you're like sitting on your bed, feel free to do that as well. It's just about being comfortable. We'll probably do this. It'll be about 10 to 12 minutes. So you can go ahead and grab any water if you need it. All right, and then after we have that comfortable seat, go ahead and make a few circles with the neck. Maybe shrug the shoulders, bringing them up towards your ears, letting them release down the back. You can take your wrists and shake them out a little bit, shake your arms out a little bit. You can roll the ankles a little bit, just preparing the body to sit for a little bit. Going back to the neck if that feels good. And then close your eyes and begin taking some deep breaths. Place your hands comfortably on your body and breathe. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And continue doing this in through the nose, out through the mouth. Beginning to let go of the busyness of your day and everything that you need to think about later. Give yourself this time to be about you and for you. Take some more deep breaths. Bring yourself here on this call, in this moment in time. We honor any thoughts that may arise and gently allow them to pass through without giving them energy or attention. Gently brush them aside and return to center. Return to your own presence at this time. Breathe in And breathe out. Letting your toes and the tops of your feet melt into the ground. Breathe in. And as you exhale, release the hips, letting them sink down into the earth. Breathe in. And as you exhale, let the hips sink a little deeper. Inhale, and gently fill your belly with air as it rises. Holding for a moment at the top. And exhale, letting your belly soften and rest. Breathe in, breathing into your rib cage, imagining the expansiveness between each rib. And when you're ready, exhale out. Take a deep breath in, this time to your chest, feeling your chest rise, holding at the top and letting it out. This time, breathe into your shoulders and your neck, imagining as your breath fills, they get lighter and lighter until you breathe out and you let your shoulders settle and release down your back. Another breath in. And as you exhale, unhinge your jaw, letting your lips softly part. The space between your eyebrows softens. Continue with this breath at a rate that's comfortable for you. Imagine it's a beautiful day. It's warm and sunny. You're walking down a path in a forest. And as you breathe in the sense of the forest, the smell of pine, fresh air. And with each step you take, you feel the softness of the ground, the twigs snapping under your feet. And you notice the energy of the forest flowing up through the bottoms of your feet. As you walk along, you notice another path that's going off to the right. And you feel compelled to follow this path. As you follow this path, you come to a clearing in the forest, and you see a small hill covered with soft grass. You climb up the hill, feeling the grass rub against your legs. When you get to the top of the hill, you lie down in the grass. Take a nice long exhale, and you gaze up into the sky. You feel the warmth of the sun on your face, and it feels so good. In this state, you feel comfortable, you feel happiness, and you feel safe. You can take a deep breath out. And you remember that feeling you had earlier, the feeling of fear. And you remember that when you feel that fear, that too is safe to feel. You remember now that it is a natural part of being human, and it is not wrong. And although it is a natural aspect of being human, fear is not who you are. It is only a feeling, and no feeling is permanent. You are not your feelings. Who you are is far vaster, far greater than just your feelings. Who you are is like the ocean. Fear is just one tiny raindrop. It can never swallow you whole. Knowing this, we are now willing to feel our fear, knowing in this very moment we are safe, we are breathing, and it is okay. Deep breath in, exhale out. We know now that we can let go of our fears, that we can release the ones we have taken on either from our own personal experiences, our family's experiences, society's experiences. Deep breath in, exhale out. It is safe to trust the process of your life. You are worthy of abundance because you exist. You are worthy of money because you exist. And you are capable of handling your money. You are worthy of a fulfilling career because you exist. You are worthy of loving relationships because you exist. And most of all, you are worthy of your dreams and goals because you exist. You remember now there's nothing about you to be fixed. You are not a problem to be solved. All you need to do now is remember. Remember how vast, how capable you are. Remember who you are. And we remember now that as life can be tough, it is never permanent and it will not always be like this. We remember now that life can also be full of ease, bursting with joy, fun. We can trust the fluctuations of our lives. Money is a tool, a byproduct of abundance. It does not define or indicate your worth. And we trust the flow of money. You are worthy of participating in the cycle of receiving and of giving money. It all comes back. You can trust the fluctuations of your life and know that money is a tool, not an indicator of your life, your worth, or your future. Deep breath in, exhale out. You are capable of handling your life, and you are so capable of handling your money. As you lie on the hill, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face and the cool grass on your arms, you envision your future self, happy, bursting with joy. You can see your path ahead clearly now. Deep breath in, deep breath out. You have the power to make changes in your life, and you have the power to weather the tough parts. You have the power to hold and amplify the easeful parts, and you have the power to transmute your fear into your fuel. You are capable of handling your money and your life. You are always learning, And at this time, you know what you're doing. Deep breath in. Exhale out. You see now, you are not broke. You are becoming. Look into your heart and say thank you to you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your courage. Look how much you care. You are needed here. Thank you. Deep breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. And one more time, breath in. Out through the mouth. And when you are ready to get up from this peaceful spot on the hill, take a couple of more breaths. Bring awareness to your eyes. Slowly open your eyes and return. And then you are done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Shelby. You have a very calming voice, and that guided meditation was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I loved it. So, and it was something I found when I was in college, and I found it in the second half of college, and it was life-changing. And it was so helpful for me for weathering all the unknowns that come up in this time. So
Absolutely. That's more, I think, more relevant now than it's ever been before. So thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Awesome.
I told you you were in for a treat with her.
So. You're absolutely right. Awesome. So I just want to share, just to kind of wrap up, man, I pulled up the wrong version of the slides. I'm so sorry. Give me one.
Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm just going to have you share your email address then, and your website. But yeah, if you have any questions for Liz, you can reach her at that email address, and that's actually a website where you can book her for like a short coaching session. Is that correct?
That's actually where you can buy the small course that I have. So that's the teachables. But you can go through my Instagram or website is Mindful Money Coaches. Yeah. So either.
Awesome. And then Shelby, where's the best place to reach you?
Oh, perfect. I was just putting it into the chat as well. And I was going to say you can reach me via email if you have any questions or want to chat. And my email is shelbyfayanderson@gmail.com. I put it into the chat. It's SON at the end of that. And then my website is shelbyfay.com. So that's spelled SHELBYFAY.com. So, and I put that into the chat. So just feel free to look at the chat if you'd like that information. And no problem on that copy. It's all good.
I will send out the right version of the slides with everyone's information in the follow-up email. So just stay tuned for that, along with the recording of our session today. So thank you all so much for coming. So a little bit more about Young Not Broke. We are a community where we want to empower young people and college students to become the boss of their money. So dropping your money fears is just one step of that. There is a ton of other stuff that you can do. And in our newsletter, we aim to kind of highlight stories of young people. So people who are college students, people who are recent graduates, and kind of what they're doing with their money on a day-to-day and how they're making the most of it, and kind of what's working for them and also what's not working for them, because this is a work in progress. We also share a ton of helpful advice in terms of breaking down important personal finance concepts. And also we are going to host more events like this. So to stay tuned for all of that stuff is definitely the best way